Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Welcome back to the show. Yo, listen up, we back in the game. Sweet believe we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Right from the two in the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweet the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Every rocks, that's we unite. Yeah, the best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, RAYNE Fernandez.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet the League Radio.
All right, welcome to a wacky Wednesday edition of Sweep the League again. This is Wednesday, so we're going live now, but the same show is going to be rebroadcast tonight at 9 o'clock at our normal time. So you don't catch it now. If you missed some of it, go back and see the rebroadcast tonight at 9 o'clock on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV. It's going to be myself. It's going to be Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Coach Gio. Should be back tomorrow, so he's still on PTO time right now, but he's using it all up. According to his NIL deal, which we had an NIL problem happen today, actually early this morning, that we're going to get into as well. So we're going to get the show started. It's going to be a quick show today, again, probably within the hour. So we're going to knock out as much content that we can for you guys. Shout out to MCS General Contracting. Shout out to La Cocina Taco Truck, Special Leaf Tea, also Castro and Sun Solar. Also shout out to Jeff Garcia, Locked On Spurs, which I'm going to mention Locked On Spurs here in just a minute. Let's get the man, the myth, the legend, the Hall of Famer himself here, soon to be UTSA Hall of Famer, Derek Gervin. What is going on this Wednesday, Derek?
All right, everything's going well. I just showed you. People got things to do today. Just do it. So
yeah, you got it.
It's going well on a nice Wednesday afternoon and a hot day in San Antonio.
Man, so the cold front's supposed to be in. I thought it was today, but I think it's tomorrow now that I'm seeing, like midday tomorrow. It's one of these days supposed to get
I don't want a cold front. What, Rudy?
Come on, man. I
love this weather, man. I lived in Michigan long enough. I love the heat, man. I love it.
I know. You know, I was jealous when I lived in Ohio. We had cold weather. Obviously, first time I experienced snow like multiple days, and I loved it. I'm the cold weather guy. You're the warm weather guy. I just what it is. I think me more than ever. Being that I'm a great big old fat person, I can't handle the heat, man. I'm like a polar bear. I just, I can't handle the heat at all. But yeah, we're supposed to get a cold front here. But again, just a quick reminder, the thing is that we are live right now. We're going to go for a while, but this same show is going to be broadcast tonight for the 9 o'clock showing. So if you answer any comments or anything on tonight's show, we don't answer them. Don't get upset. Just leave your comments. We'll get to them for tomorrow's show. But nonetheless, man, Derek, we had some breaking news that came out this morning. Let's get into it here in just a minute. And that is our breaking news segment there. So earlier today, you had UNLV quarterback coming out. And this is a very hot topic. You've actually sparked a lot of debates on social media. So UNLV quarterback this morning basically says, hey, I'm going to redshirt this year because I'm not getting paid right. Apparently, he was promised $100,000 in his NIL deal, and it's Matthew Sluka, quarterback from UNLV. Now, UNLV's 3-0. They are 3-0. Obviously, their eyes are set on the college football playoffs. But he decides to tell him, you know what, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to redshirt this year. I'm not going to play the rest of the year. Being behind it. Now, let me give you his official statement here. What I'm going to do is put it up here for everybody to see so we can all see his official statement that he did made on X earlier. And it basically says, I have decided to utilize my red shirt year and will not be playing in any additional games this season. I'm committed to UNLV based on certain representations that were made to me, which were not upheld after I enrolled. Despite discussions, it became clear that these commitments would not be fulfilled in the future. I wish my teammates the best of luck this season and hope for the continued success of the program. So that is Matthew Sluka saying, thank you, bye UNLV. You're not paying me. So what it comes down to is apparently, and I have to say apparently because I don't know, we haven't got the whole truth out of it. You got one truth out of the camp, which is his camp, saying that he was promised $100,000 and that he was only paid $3,000 so far. Now, this is that boundary line, Derek, that you and I have always talked about when it came to NIL. NIL is good because you get to pay the athletes, they get to make money, they get to sell their likeness, they get all that. And I get it. Colleges, they have scholarships, but they still got to be able to afford stuff and all that stuff. So I get NIL is good, but this is where it becomes really gray and dark and is really sketchy because now it is a true business. And you've got people in uproar saying, well, he's a quitter. He's doing the wrong thing. He's quitting on his teammates. He's basically throwing the middle finger to the school and everybody else. As much as I see that, I don't agree with that because college is a business now. It's not just you've got a scholarship, you're going to play. It's a business. So if you're promised this, and now it's going to go down to, well, you need contracts. You got to have a contract somewhere. So if you're promised this, you go play data. If you don't get paid, you leave. It's similar to work. If I go to work and I'm promised this salary, but you're only paying me this salary for the first few weeks that I work, should I stick around? I mean, that's what I look at. This is your job right now, but knowing what you see right in front of you, it's kind of murky water when NIL in college now, because now this has come up and he's the first one to say, all right, you know what? I'm holding out basically now.
It's a tough situation for me because it is college, but it has become a business now. And I got a story to make it even clearer, Rudy. When I played in Israel for 3 years, okay?
Uh-huh.
So I got MVP over there my first year in 1994. So I was offered, a new contract, more money, right? So, okay, we get the new contract. And so I'm going to go out and I'm going to practice hard and I'm going to do everything I can to help my team become a better team. And that also means the organization. But I fulfilled my end of the deal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then when come payday, guess what I'm expecting?
What's that?
Okay, my pay.
Exactly.
So I signed a deal. So I'm doing my part on my end. And I loved all my teammates as people, not just basketball players. But like you said, it's a business. And if you were promised money and you're not receiving that money, there's not going to be too many people happy. It's no different than a person working on an 8-to-5 job, Rudy.
Exactly.
When your checks aren't coming through, I don't think you're going to be showing up at work. And so I hate to have to break it down like that, but maybe that'll explain it a little clearer for some people. If they're not getting their check every 2 weeks, I don't think they're going to be so happy to be showing up at work. They're going to be reluctant. Yeah. And at some point, you're just going to, you're going to get fed up. So we don't know the whole situation. But the young man, I don't think he would even go public with this if it hadn't happened. So I'll just say right now, allegedly, he's only been paid $3,000. But it's not bailing out on his team. The man has been promised $100,000. That might be one of the reasons he ended up at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And now he gets there, and the people that made these promises aren't doing their part of the bargain, keeping their part of the bargain. I have no problem at all with him sitting out. And guess what? I bet it hurts him more than it hurts them. They're only in it for the financial part. I bet he's in it for the financial, but he also wants to be true to his teammates. And you know how it is when you have camaraderie with your teammates. So I'm sure it's tearing him up to have to step away from the team.
And you made a very valid point, and I love it because you said it hurts him more than it hurts the team. He's going to redshirt this year. He could have easily gone to another school and maybe been paid the same amount, maybe a little less, but they could have said, well, we know your NIL deal, it's going to be worth $60,000. Okay, well, he can get paid there, but he chose to go to UNLV based off of what he was being told. And then one report said that it was an assistant coach that promised him that. So it wasn't even the head coach. So again, a lot of reports coming in. We're just basing this off of what we're reading on social media and what's coming out. But yeah, he goes to UNLV for $100K. He gets paid $3K apparently. So yeah, you're going to sit out, obviously, but it does hurt him more because he could have been in another program, played the full season, probably had a ridiculously good first season there. But now he's kind of hurting because now he's not going to play ball. He's not going to play football. He didn't get paid what he was supposed to get paid. So now he's technically out a whole year. Even though he's redshirting, he's technically out a whole year of competition. So you make a valid point there, man. I mean, he's the one that's going to be hurting.
Who's going to solve his issue, though? Because, in the 8 to 5, like I mentioned, you can go to human resources.
Exactly.
Who is his backup plan? Who is the person he can talk to make the right thing happen? And it's sad for me because this assistant coach, you got assistant coaches that a lot of times, I won't say a lot of times, sometimes they go behind the coach's back and they make promises that really they can't deliver. And then other times you got where it's been approved by the coach.
Yeah.
And so for this situation, it's bad. But you mentioned early at the beginning when you started talking about it, what's going to happen. See, now we're ready to go into the next phase. The contracts are going to have to be signed. So I hate that it's happening to this young man, but out of something bad comes something good. And now he's going to be setting the tone for the next person so that the same thing doesn't happen. So, yeah, expect for these contracts to start being signed now when it comes to name, image, and likeness.
It's going to be like the Ed O'Bannon thing all over again. How Ed O'Bannon, sued the NCAA for likeness, and now they're getting paid for likeness. You're getting the college football games and basketball games back, on the game site, the game council. So you're getting Ed O'Bannon paved the way for all this to happen. Now, Matthew Sluka's paving another way, and it goes to what you said. Now you're going to see contracts because he's got an agency. Apparently he had an agent through an agency, so they're dealing with that. So if everybody remembers, in the summer we talked about this. We talked about actually before the summer, we talked about how now you're going to have to use another position in college for sports, and that's the GM position. They're going to have to start hiring general managers because you can't expect the head coach to deal with it. You can't expect the president of the university to deal with it. Now, you could say, well, they have an athletic director, but remember, an athletic director oversees everything. So to have an athletic director also be the GM is a little tough. And I'm thinking now with the contracts coming up, now you're going to probably have to go hire a GM, and it's just going to be like the pro. This is basically going to be semi-pro, basically right here. So there's 2 points I want to make. The first one is obviously the contract. I want to get that with you. So now the contract, if the contract comes in and Derek, they say, you know what, you're going to UTSA, we're great, you're happy there. We want this contract to be $100K a year for your NIL deal, but you've got to be here 4 years. So the universities may not have that loophole for you to get out of it, or you got to pay that money back or a percentage of that money back. So the waters just got a lot more murkier and dirtier if contracts come in, because now, you know what, you have a 3-year deal with the option of the 4th year. That option for the 4th year, it goes to the university. Here you are wanting to go pro, you can't go pro. I mean, this is so tough, man. It's so tough.
And Rudy, not only the 100, what the problem I have with it as well is, okay, say you're making 100 the first year, right?
Yeah.
But you become a lot more popular. And now you're tied into a deal. You're really getting screwed. So you're getting 100,000 first year, second, and third, and fourth. But now your brand has basically flown off the charts. And so you're getting underpaid. And that's the problem I have with it. So that's why they should do it just like they do scholarships. What are scholarships? A lot of people think scholarships are a 4-year deal, right?
Yeah.
But a scholarship is 1 year after the next. It's not, it's a 1-year thing. And then they renew your scholarship. I think a lot of people don't know that. And so that's a big issue, man. But whatever happens, I hope that they get this worked out. And the main thing I hope happens is as we move forward, this young man gets his money that he was promised. Because he could, like you said, he could have chose to go to another school. And the fact that he put his loyalty in UNLV, I want to see them put their money where their mouth is and put their loyalty in this young man. It breaks my heart that he had to step away from the team. But that might be the only way he can get some answers, and then we could get something to fix this situation as we move forward.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so bad because you've got, not necessarily war, but you got war of words from both sides. The fans are chiming in left and right. Some, like I said, calling him a quitter. Some saying, hey, you know what? It's like everyday work. If you go to work, you're expected to be paid this for the work that you do. You should get paid for that work if it's been committed. And again, no telling what was signed, no telling what contracts were there, if any contracts were there. So it's hard to even comment to the point of, who's right, who's wrong. Personally, from an athletic standpoint, me personally, yeah, I would probably have played the season and just dealt with it in the off season, or because I have an agency, I have an agent, I'll just let them work it out in court. That's what I would have done because.
Okay. Now, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to put, as you going forward, I want you to think about this.
Okay.
What if this money was something that the reason he took this 100,000 and went to UNLV? What if it was something that was needed right now, a necessity for his family? True. That's so we have to factor it in as well too. And most people that do the talking from outside, you already know. You and I could sit in the booth at UTSA, and Frank Harris could quarterback for 10 years. But as soon as he decides to make a decision for his life and they lose a game, people are mad at Frank, even though he's been loyal. And it's usually the people that has never been in that situation. So about what they say about until you walked in someone's shoes or their moccasins. And a lot of people make assumptions that the player should do this, they should do that. But we don't know behind the scenes the situation that he's in or that his family is in. And that could be something that was needed for his family as we speak.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you're right, because that money probably he already had, not necessarily spent, but he probably had it promised or used towards something else that could have gone to the family. Could have been the house, could have been a house, could have been, something to help his parents out. It could have been anything. So
someone's ill. We don't. It could have been just so many things. It could have been, and that's his right. They made him a promise. Honor your word. Y'all made that young man the promise. The money show me the money, as they say. That movie with Tom Cruise and
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry. Show me the money.
That's so true, and that's why I lean a lot towards congratulations, Matthew. You made the right decision. If you're not going to get paid, then why are you going to play? I mean, same thing in the NFL. You have players holding out all the time. They deserve a contract. It's also like you're trying to prepare yourself for the NFL. So the more games you can get in, the better. Now, this takes me to that second point of this, where it's always give or take. Okay, you know what? We owed you $100K, yada, yada, yada. You know what? You're going to sign contracts now. This is where I feel a very important piece of college football comes into play, Derek, and that's the red shirt. So he basically said, I'm not going to play. I'm going to red shirt this year. So I'm thinking this way now. If the NCAA is going to give in and say, okay, these contracts are guaranteed. You went to play there. You're going to play. They're going to take that red shirt away from players because I mean, if you don't like what you're getting, not say for example, he's getting the 100K, but he doesn't like the situation. Well, I don't want to play. After 3 weeks, I'm done. I'm going to redshirt this year. I don't like the situation. You know, that gives him that extra year of eligibility. And it's almost like, well, no, because it makes it even tougher for coaches to scheme for a couple of years down or something like that. Like it basically holds the university by the cojones all the time on the red shirt. So I think the NCAA, if you're going to give in to the NIL deals and everything, then they need to do away with the red shirt. You're there as a freshman. If you don't start, sorry, no big deal. I mean, there's a person ahead of you. Go to a school where you feel you're going to start, and if that head coach says you're going to be our starter, well, here's your NIL deal, 80,000. We're going to make you our starter day one. If you want to be a starter, go to a school that's starter. Now, this isn't a shot at Arch Manning. I mean, this is totally different. Arch doesn't even need the money. Let's be real. He doesn't need the NIL money.
Yeah, Arch will never need the money.
Yeah, he'll never need the money. But, you know, for the players that use the red shirt, in this case, Sluka, I'm like, okay, they need to do away with the red shirt because now you're just giving these guys opportunities to go to, you know, just keep being a college football player, all this other stuff. It's just, you know what, you're in school for 4 years. If you're in school for a fifth year to get, you know, master's or whatever, okay, we understand that. But it's got to be treated like education and not like a long-term contract. So that's where I stand on the red shirt process.
I don't have much to say. You basically covered everything on that, but I'm gonna back you because it's hard, man. When you're dealing with the NCAA, I'm kind of sad on one side because the NCAA has been getting over for so many years. But then again, you don't want the young people, as you say, you know, to start playing games. As far as why they're actually at the school, you're just here for the money, the 80,000, whatever it may be. So it's a kind of touchy situation. But you covered hell. There's not much I can say to on either side after that. I just hope it works out, man. And here's the saddest part, Rudy. I'm thinking about Sluka, okay? I'm thinking about his teammates. The same thing could happen to one or two or three or four of them, so, you know, themselves, some of them.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're paying attention to this situation. I hope somehow they get this situation rectified. And I don't want this to ever happen again, man. So something's going to have to be done as we move forward. The NCAA is going to have to speak up. I want to hear, has anyone commented on his situation? I know people don't like to really say anything because I'm sure we haven't heard from that assistant coach yet. So has anything else been said about this other than the young man going public with it? Have you heard anything else? Any follow-up?
I have not. I'm looking at it right now. The only quote, okay, so the school said in a statement, UNLV athletics interpreted these demands as a violation of the NCAA pay for play rules as well as Nevada state law. UNLV does not engage in such activity, nor does it respond to implied threats. UNLV has honored all previously agreed upon scholarships for Matthew Sluka. So it does say UNLV has conducted its due diligence and will continue to operate its program within the framework of NCAA rules and regulations, as well as Nevada state laws. So again, the school says they're not doing anything wrong and they are abiding by it. Now, could it be the fact that he was promised 100K, they only paid him 3,000, but the year's not up? So, you know, that's the other part. Are you expecting, you know, 10 games, 100K? Are you expecting $10,000 a week? Because it's not a pro team. It's a college. It's a university. I doubt they're going to give you $10,000 a week or all 100K up front. So I think in that retrospect, Derek, I mean, if you sign to play for 100K and you're only 3 weeks into the season, I don't know. I mean, you know for a fact you're a professional player. You're not going to get all your money at one time.
No.
So it might that's what UNLV I think is trying to say is that, you know, we're following the rules. He just wanted his money up front or majority up front.
We don't know what was issued to as far as the assistant coach. We don't know what the time frame was like, the timeline. We don't know if it was going to be get paid every month, once a month. We don't have a clue. Only ones who know that is Mr. Sluka and the assistant coach.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. I heard what you said. What UNLV read, their little standard reply, of course, but we need to know. I want to know what happened as far as the assistant coach. Has UNLV talked to him? Have they done their due diligence to find out if he made this promise? And I ain't even talking about how often they're going to pay him. Is this something that he actually offered the young man from the beginning? And so they need to be doing their due diligence. And then the only way we're going to find out what's going on, they're going to have to be talking to the assistant coach and talking to Mr. Sluka. And then we all find out publicly because we don't know what went on. But I am sad. I don't think this young man would have went public with that if it wasn't something he was offered. But we don't know the timeline of maybe they figure they got 12 months to pay him. But I would think if that's how they were doing it, that he would have been told that. So it's still a lot more that we don't know about this story.
So a little bit more has come out on the reports here. So I did say UNLV's collective did pay Sluka one $3,000 fee for an engagement he made this summer, according to Rob Seen, who runs Blueprint Sports, a company that manages the collective. Seen said Sluka's agent first made contact with the collective in late August to discuss future opportunities to work together. Seen also said that he wasn't aware of any promises to Sluka's $100,000 and that Sluka had not contacted the collective about missing payments as far as he knew. So it goes back to what you and I originally said. There's no contract. I mean, without a contract, it's hearsay. It's he said, she said stuff. So apparently, the Friends of UNLV collective reiterated in a statement that there were no formal NIL offers made during Mr. Sluka's recruiting process. So they have no idea where this 100K promise came from.
And you know, Rudy, some people say a handshake is like it's a contract, a binding contract, but I've never believed that. But you've heard that before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then at the last minute, you ask, did you make this contract with him? Did y'all have a handshake deal? And all you got to do is say, no, I don't know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward, they got some things, some strings. They're going to have to figure this out, man. But I'm still sad for the team. They're 3-0.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with this kind of stuff. And the young man has to move away from the team. It's a lot of negatives. But I'm hoping out of all of this comes something that's positive, and it's something that'll help all these players, the ladies and the men, moving forward.
Yeah, it's bottom line. It's going to come down to contracts now. I mean, this is basically it basically is what they're saying. You know, I read while you were speaking to everybody, I was reading a little bit more, and it's basically saying that, you know, they had no engagement, they had no commitment, they had nothing signed in writing showing that Sluka was supposed to get $100,000. So again, under the table type deal, handshake deal, you know, hearsay, whatever, it's not binding if it's not a writing. That's why I always tell, you know, I tell how I preach it to my little girl, you know, you've got to get stuff in writing. These days it's got to be in writing. And you know, my wife's really good about that. I tell a bunch of friends, you know, you got something, put it in writing. Even if it's for me, if we talk about something, we got to put it in writing because I want to be able to know that you can trust me and I can trust you. Best thing to do is always put it in writing. So yeah, sad situation here for UNLV, but until everything actually comes out, which I'm pretty sure it will, we have no idea what was talked about, what was promised. But again, it's going to come down to, you're probably going to see general managers at universities. They're going to have to handle all these. That means contracts are going to be there. How are the contracts going to look? Is it a 4-year deal? Hey, we're going to give you 100,000 per year. You know, this is how you're going to be paid. This is the structure, but you got to be here 4 years. You know, well, can I get out of it in 3 years? Well, remember, contracts can't break them if you sign them. So we want you 4 years. You've got to be here all 4 years. You got to play. And then it goes back to, well, you've got to be eligible to play. You know, you got to have the grades. You got to have this. You got to do this. So this is going to get into a really big picture. And then you've got the red shirt thing that we talked about. They're going to have to get rid of the red shirt thing, because once contracts are signed, there's no more red shirt at all. No. Hey, you know what? You're a backup. Sorry. Well, I want to play. It's in your contract. I mean, you're going to have to be a backup until the coach
your contract. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I sound like an old man when I say this, but you know, the kids got to understand that if you want to act like an adult, you're going to be treated like an adult. And that even goes in college as a freshman. You're going to be an adult. You're going to be treated like one. So that's what it comes down to. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the way back, I'm going to throw something out there to Derek that involves the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers, two of the worst teams in the NFL right now. But let's see if we can get Derek's thoughts on this, because I'm thinking a trade may be involved somewhere here. I think he knows where I'm going with this. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos here. I'm going to convince him. We'll be back in just a second. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting, building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Hey everyone, Jessica here, and I'm excited to announce that I'm your new sports reporter for STL Sports Minute. We're taking things up a notch, and that means more content coming your way. We will post new YouTube reels regularly, keeping all you sports fans in the loop with the latest updates, highlights, and hot takes. I can't wait to bring you even more coverage and talk all things sports with you. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. We've got a lot of exciting stuff lined up. Thanks for tuning in, and I can't wait to start this journey with you all.
Yeah, this for the family. Loyalty, respect, honor. You know what it is. STL music. Let's get it. We the ones, never folded on ourselves, no bluffing. Legacy we building, man, this ain't up for discussion. They wanted us to quit, but we dug in deep. Motivated to the fullest, dreams ain't meant for sleep. On the grind 24/7, no time for rest. We making moves, calculated like a master chess. Love and respect.
All right, welcome back to Sweep the League. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. here on a Wacky Wednesday. Family comes out October 1st. It's the first combo. It's the first music album, the first album in general from STL Music and SOTB. So be sure to get it on October 1st or everywhere music's available. Also, you saw a promo with our new girl. Apparently, Ashley wanted more money in her NIL deal, so we had to go hire Jessica to do our daily sports moments. Ashley got too popular. She transferred to a bigger school, so we went and got out Jessica. You'll be seeing our sports promos and our sports updates read by Jessica now. So yeah, Ashley gave me the geo look, Derek. So I had to make a business decision and say, okay, I'm sorry, Ashley, we can't pay you that much. We don't owe you 100,000. There's no doubt about that.
Not yet.
No, definitely not yet.
You'll see us in a few years.
Oh man! Also, quick announcement right here. Be sure to check out Locked On Spurs. Now, Jeff released another Locked On today, and it has to do with boxer Jesse James Leha. Now, he's training the San Antonio Spurs all the way from Matt Bonner, Robinson, Tim Duncan to the
Timmy
current
Duncan.
Spurs. Yeah, to the current Spurs and Wemby. And little known fact, I'm not going to say who it is, but Jesse also talks about the hardest hitting puncher that he's trained for the San Antonio Spurs. I know who it is. Derek, do you have a guess who that one person is that he trained that is the hardest puncher for the San Antonio Spurs?
The hardest puncher. I don't know if he's trained this guy or not, but it's only two guys that I would mention. One of them for me would be, I would say, Steven Jackson, and then after that, hey, I got to think back now because what's his name? Keldon's pretty big there. But I'm gonna say that it'll either be Steven Jackson. Oh, that's a tough one, man. I don't know. I'm gonna go Steven Jackson or Keldon.
Steven Jackson, Keldon. I'm gonna say you're not right on either one of those. So it surprised the hell out of me. If I'm not gonna announce it, I would like everybody to go take a look at Locked On Spurs.
Hardest puncher. It's
hardest
small
puncher.
then with someone with some leverage.
Well, I told him, I figured, well, because he said, Jeff's like, why ask Jesse, was it Tim Duncan? Because apparently Jesse told Jeff that Timmy was boxing ready, like professional boxing ready in a matter of no time. Like he felt like Tim picked it up well enough to where.
Is it a jawbreaker then, Vernon?
No, it wasn't Vernon. That was probably one of my guesses. So Jeff would have said Timmy, no. David, no. He mentioned a couple. Manu, no. And my first guess was Vernon, and it wasn't Vernon. I was surprised when he told me. I'm like wanting to say it, but I'm not. I
you
can't.
Named the big three, but you left out Tony, so you better not be saying Tony Parker.
No, it's not Tony Parker.
Yeah,
it's not
say,
Tony
come
Parker.
on, man. Jesse must have been hanging out that day at Rosario's.
No, definitely not Tony. Again, I said, okay, this is my only guess, my final guess here. I said it's Matt Bonner. And he said, surprisingly, Matt's up there, but it wasn't Matt Bonner. So for those of y'all that want to know who the hardest punching guy is for the San Antonio Spurs, be sure to go tune in to Locked On Spurs. Jeff Garcia. Quick note, I will be on tomorrow's episode with Jeff, so be sure to check that out. Couldn't do video. I had to do it on audio only, but couldn't do video. So
now I'm gonna be thinking about that all the time. Who was the hardest punching Spurs that Jesse James Leha came in contact with?
I'll tell you off the air. That's not a problem at all. So you'll get.
I'm saying it's someone smaller as opposed to one of the taller guys. I think it would be someone that's closer to Jesse's height, the 6'2", 6'1", 6'2" area. I'm saying as opposed to a 7-footer.
I'll give everybody one hint. It's a 7-footer. We'll just put it that way. So it was a 7-footer.
Oh hell. Well, that narrows it down. We've only had a few 7-footers. Tiago Splitter. We had Boban. We haven't had a whole lot of 7-footers, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, could we go Caldwell Jones? I mean, that's a 7-footer that we had. I know Caldwell could probably fight back then. I mean, that's
Alberto's not 7 feet, so I'm not. No. That's why I didn't say Alberto. So, I can't wait to hear this answer.
Yeah, I'll give you the answer off the air, but nonetheless, we're going to move on here. So, it's a wacky Wednesday. It's a weird Wednesday, and I'm thinking about this for a while. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at two teams here, Jacksonville and Carolina. They're on the same path. They're both on the same path, jumping off the cliff. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, you've seen what Carolina looked at this past weekend with Andy Dalton, a veteran quarterback, right there. Now, I'm gonna throw it out there. I was thinking, what would be the scenario if you get rid of Bryce Young, you send him to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville sends disgruntled quarterback Trevor Lawrence to Carolina. Now, what Carolina gets is a veteran quarterback, a quarterback that just wants a change of scenery is what I'm looking at here. So you get a veteran QB. I think it helps because you've seen what you've got in Andy Dalton. You kind of put them on a little bit of a better path instead of a rebuilding path with a brand new quarterback or a young quarterback in Bryce. I do like Trevor there. Now Bryce going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, again, young team. It's a rebuilding process. They have Brian Thomas Jr. there. Christian Kirk is there. Not the greatest of team. So expectations are low in Jacksonville, but where it comes back is they can probably get some picks in return, maybe a decent pick back. They can get something more, getting rid of Trevor Lawrence. So I had proposed that Trevor Lawrence would go to the Panthers. Panthers send Bryce Young next year or this coming, the 2024 second round pick, a 2025 second round pick, and then other picks in there, wherever you can get them to come out with. So I like that in the sense that there's no pressure on Bryce Young to come in right away. You're in a rebuild. If it doesn't work out, you can go draft another quarterback. But also, when it comes to the Panthers, you've got Adam Thielen, you've got Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. You've got pieces there that I think Trevor can work with. So that's my thought process. We're going down that rabbit hole, Derek. What do you think of Jacksonville, Carolina trade for quarterbacks?
I don't think that's a bad idea, and it's not just when it comes to Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence. Sometimes, Rudy, we look at these teams, right? And you look at them year after year after year. Even like I can go here in Dallas with the Cowboys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you come up short, and the style of play doesn't fit that particular quarterback. So if I'm looking at Jacksonville, I think their offense, the way they want to run it, would be more suited to a young guy like Bryce Young that can get out the pocket, that can use his legs, as opposed to a Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I think the way the Panthers want to play is more suited to the way Trevor Lawrence, what he brings to the table. I'm serious. Yeah. I just look at the team sometimes. You have these coaches, they want to put a square into a hole, into a circle.
Yeah.
And you have the certain style you want to play, but as you know, a lot of coaches don't make the adjustment and they don't play according to the quarterback that they have. So then you get a lot of failure. But I think that would be a great move. I think it would benefit both teams. I don't know if it would happen, but if they brought that on the table, I honestly believe that Trevor Lawrence would fit better and with the Carolina Panthers, and Bryce Young, his style of play, would fit better with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean that in all sincerity.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you got a running back there at Jacksonville with Travis Etienne, another young running back. I think it's more of, okay, you're giving up on your QB already in Carolina. And he's already talking about, well, I wouldn't mind a trade. I wouldn't mind to be in another location. What Jacksonville does too is they get out of that contract with Trevor Lawrence, which I don't think Carolina minds paying that contract because, I mean, again, you just want that veteran QB there. You're seeing it. They played so much better with the veteran. And I get it. It's the Raiders. I mean, it's the Raiders. Well, who gives a damn? They looked really good against the Raiders. You gotta give these guys something to play for. They don't want to play for Bryce Young. Just like I feel Jacksonville doesn't want to play for Trevor Lawrence right now.
Their style doesn't mesh. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't mesh.
So it makes sense for them to maybe just work on that deal and say, okay, well, let's flip-flop quarterbacks. We'll throw in some draft picks. What's the harm? I mean, you can't do any more harm. You got one team at 1-2, the other one at 0-3.
Sometimes the grass is not always greener, and then on other times, the change of scenery works quite well.
Yeah.
And how much time do you want to put? Do they want to put in Trevor Lawrence? Because Trevor coming into the NFL was highly coveted out of Clemson. Is he going to be the next superstar? It hasn't worked out. But I'm not saying it's that he's going to be a failure over the rest of his career. Sometimes it might need a change of scenery for him.
Yeah.
And Carolina might be that team. Man, you know some of these games, man. You look at these quarterbacks. If you take one guy or take someone else, just like Cleveland Browns, I think they have a good team.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I'm going to put it on one guy. Who's killing that team right now? I'm saying in the locker room, he's affecting the offense and the defense. And that's what I really feel about Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah, he is.
All the stuff that the cloud that's hanging over his head, that's caused a negative effect in the locker room, which in turn caused a negative effect on the field.
Yeah.
And I think if you bring in someone else in his situation, everything changes for the Cleveland Browns. So, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I think it's a brilliant thing you brought up. Bryce Young going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence to the Carolina Panthers. I think it would help both teams now and in the future. And when you start talking about the draft picks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And the Deshaun Watson thing too. It goes. I look at it like this: how much longer can fans and everybody else clamor on the fact of the whole massage thing? You got to get over it sometime. The guy just isn't. He's not focused on playing. He's not focused on playing. He's not focused on winning. He's just there. He's just a body out there for Cleveland. And at what point is it we owe you? I mean, he got guaranteed all that money, but at what point are you Cleveland saying, you know what, we guaranteed all this money, but you can just ride the pine. We'll get somebody else.
He's affecting their defense because aren't they? They still, if you remember, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Yeah.
But there's a thing called fatigue. So the offense is not on the field very long. So that's out. That means that out of 60-minute game, you got the defense out there for them, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And so you're not going to be the team that you could be defensively when you got guys who their tongues are hanging out. So sometimes it is a change of scenery. And I think that's what we're seeing with Trevor Lawrence. I don't see it getting any better with him in Jacksonville. I really don't. Last year, I kind of monitored last year. But after it didn't work even last year, and I know he's had injuries or whatever, but I just don't think the style of play is compatible to what he brings to the table. And as we know, the same with Bryce Young.
Yeah. Before we move on here, I want to remind everybody that this show was this morning, or not this morning, this afternoon, so around 4 o'clock or so. So if you're leaving comments, because this show is going to be replayed again at 9 p.m. tonight on our normal spot. So if you're leaving comments on the 9 p.m. show, we're not ignoring you, nothing like that. We'll get to them when we see them later tonight or tomorrow. So just an FYI, we're not ignoring anybody. This we had the show playing earlier today, so this is a rebroadcast at 9 o'clock as well. But that's the one thing I looked at was those two guys need a change of scenery, and to me, it makes a lot of sense for it to happen. You can get draft picks in there, you can make moves here and there, and I just think it benefits both teams when it comes down to. So it's Wednesday, man. Fox NFL podcast, they always lay out the rankings, the power rankings after week 3. And this is our caught off guard moment, Derek. This is our caught off guard moment. All right. So here are the power rankings from Fox NFL podcast after week 3, heading into week 4. You have at number 1, Kansas City, 2 Buffalo, 3 Lions, 4 Eagles, 5 Ravens, 6 Texans, 7 Packers, 8 Niners, 9 Jets, 10 New Orleans, and I'm going to throw 11 Minnesota in there. I want your first reaction because, again, this is our caught off guard moment. What is your first reaction on the power rankings released by the NFL, that Fox NFL?
Well, right now, I'm looking at some of these teams. I'm looking at Green Bay, San Francisco, the Texans, who, they had a slip up. But I don't think Green Bay has looked that great. I know Jordan Love is out, but even with him, I thought they looked pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I don't think those teams right now should be rated over the Jets or the Vikings. And the Vikings, if you really look at it, man, that guy SD has been doing it. Yeah. Sam Darnold's been playing well. And I think the Vikings, they look like a resurgent team. The Minnesota Vikings haven't looked this good in quite a while. So I think that they're really right now, you could easily have them a top 5 team. The Jets, and I got to see this. I'll tell you this, Rudy. I watched Stephen A. Smith and Mad Dog Russo and those guys earlier today. And Stephen A. named his top 5. He had the Chiefs third. He had Buffalo first. And I'm trying to think who he had second. And then he had the Chiefs third. Oh, he had Buffalo. Then he had the Vikings.
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs. I think they're going by I don't think the Chiefs are the best team in the league right now.
No.
People might think I'm crazy. You know, right now, I think the team that you have number 9 could easily be at the top of the charts right there with Buffalo. And I'm still not going to remove. I think the Saints dropped way too far.
Yeah.
The Saints, I don't think they really paid attention. I know the first 2 games, they averaged about 46 points, 45 and a half.
Yeah.
But now we saw that the Saints could play in a high-scoring game or they could play in a low-scoring game. And to become a champion, isn't that what it takes?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the Saints, again, they're going off of, we told you guys the Saints are not that good, that they came out and they beat the Panthers and then they beat the Cowboys and, you know, the Cowboys are struggling and they're not that good. Again, I call BS on all that because if you go to the play that mattered where Dallas Goedert was in a crossing route, if those Saints defenders don't have that 1 in, 100 chance of colliding, he gets tackled and he's behind the line for the first down. It's a totally different game. So you're going to penalize the Saints for a blunder play that happens every now and then in football.
Every blue moon, yeah.
It's a blue moon that it happened. If you look at the entire game, they controlled a lot of that game. You know, Barkley broke off, and you know, it happens in football again. Barkley broke off for that long touchdown run. Outside of that, the Eagles were terrible the whole day, and the Saints defense was manning down on them. They came down like a fury on them. So again, if I'm going by power rankings, Kansas City definitely is not number 1. Like we mentioned last night, there's no way. We mentioned last night, 2 out of those 3 victories minimum should have been losses. They were given to it by the refs. Let's be honest with you, especially the one in Atlanta. I mean, in the end zone, they were gifted those, but they should be probably 1 and 2. But even at that, they have them at number 1. I don't have them 1. I actually have Buffalo 1. They've looked really, really, really fantastic. Outside of that, I've got Buffalo 1. I would put the Saints 2, Vikings 3. Interchangeable. That's just me right there. Kansas City, I would probably have them right around 5, maybe.
And the Jets number 4.
I would probably have the Jets at 4 right now.
Man, people are sleeping on the Jets, man.
They really are. They really are. I don't buy too much into Seattle, even though Seattle's 3-0. I don't buy too much into Seattle. You know, you have the Bengals at 0-3, and they're sitting at 15 on this roster, on this list. I mean, the disrespect to some of the teams below them, and one of them being the Cowboys. I mean, the Bengals have looked horrendous all year. How are they still a top 15 team? That makes no sense to me.
They don't look better than the Falcons.
No. Oh, definitely not. I mean, not even Falcon, being a Falcons fan. They don't look better than them. I mean, hell, the Chargers. I think the Chargers are what, 3-0?
Is that because of Joe Burrow? Or is it because of what we've seen in the last 5 years? In the first 2 games of the season, their record overall is 1-9 in the last 5 years. So could it be that people are expecting them to turn it around? Even though to me this last loss was huge. It's going to be hard to climb out of a 0-3. I think that's going to be really hard for them to climb out of that. And I'm not talking about just for the division. I think when you start talking about turning the season around and you get in the 0-3 hole, there's not too many teams that come out of that. And looking at Joe Burrow, we still don't know. He's shaking the hand a few times, and we don't know how healthy he really is. And they've had some other injuries. I don't think they're even a top 20 team right now, to be honest, about the Cincinnati Bengals. So this list is kind of skewed. I don't think the Chiefs should be over the Bills. I'm like you. And I don't think that the Eagles belong anywhere in there, if you want me to be honest about it. I know some people will say they would have been 3-0 if Saquon would have caught that pass. If I was I might have been 5'8" if I was born yesterday. He might have been 6'8". So, but I don't think. I think the list is kind of funny. I don't. And then the Texans being number 6, I can kind of live with that. But I just can't live with the Chiefs being number 1 right now. I know they have Patrick Mahomes, but they don't look like. I know Kareem Hunt's on his way back.
Yeah.
But going by this list is how it's been going currently, and I currently don't think that the Chiefs are the number 1 team in the league.
It's sad when I can call you, Derek, on the phone and say, I just thought of something. I'm in the same exact shape as Travis Kelce Swift right now. The guy looks
good. I told you, man.
That guy looks terrible.
I saw it look good. I was like, man. Hey, but he's got a lot on his plate now, man. He's been doing a lot of traveling, and got everywhere he goes now. You got the cameras, you got TMZ following you every to the restroom, basically. So I know that can kind of weigh on you, and then you're not getting the proper rest that he's used to getting. So I'm saying he's one of those guys that's going to pick it up as the year moves forward, and we know that Mahomes is not going to forget about him. But yeah, he didn't come in the type shape that we're used to accustomed to seeing Travis Kelce in. But even with him right now, the way they're playing, Chiefs have been very fortunate, and I definitely can't have them as the number 1 team over the Buffalo Bills.
No, and even sitting at number 5, the Ravens. I mean,
that's crazy.
You can't tell me that they're better than the Texans. They're not better than the Packers. I would take the Niners over the Ravens. The Jets, Saints, and Vikings definitely over. They're probably at the 13 mark
13,
for the Ravens.
14, yeah, right now. And look, and this is what's so crazy about it. They got the Ravens number 5, and they got the Steelers 14.
Because nobody buy. That's what I'm saying. They're going by off of, well, we don't buy the success of the Steelers.
But if you're giving some teams credit for being undefeated, how can you skip over the Steelers?
Exactly.
So it's kind of hypocritical. You get other 3-0 teams, the Seahawks or whoever, you get them credit, but you skip over the team that has Mike Tomlin as the coach, a guy who's never had a losing season. Yeah, that's kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is hypocritical, and I don't get the list, but that's why this is always one of our cut off guard moments here on Sweep the League, because I don't show them the power rankings a lot of time. I just bring it up and we kind of react over it. We have a lot of these moments as well. So quick, before we go, Derek, what do you think the percentage is of 0-3 teams to make the playoffs? If your team starts 0-3 in the NFL, what do you think that percentage is?
I'm gonna say in the 18% range. I'm gonna put it in the 15 to 18% range. So let me go in the middle, 16.5%.
So let's see. As you would expect, I'm reading it off the internet here because the internet knows everything. As you would expect, dropping to 0-3 is far worse for a team's playoff chances than starting 0-2. But the difference is dramatic, Derek. Since 1990, 162 teams have opened the season 0-3. That says only 4 of them have made the postseason at 2.5%. So it's going to be
just to make the playoffs, 2.5%. If you start off 0-3, oh my goodness,
0-3, 2.5% have made the playoffs.
Remember though, that's basically based off a 16-game season.
16 games.
That one extra game could come in, could be huge.
So you
should raise it to about 3%.
Well, okay. So let's say what can be fair? 9 wins get you into the playoffs. Maybe 10. Say 10.
Let me see. 10-7. Oh, it depends on which division, which conference. Yeah, I'm gonna say, looking at it this year, man, somebody's gonna get in this year. Man, I hate to say it, somebody's gonna get in at 9-8.
Okay, so say 9-8. So that means that with going into week 4, what is that? 14. They're going to have to go 9-5 to get into the playoffs. Now, it's possible, but as the way that they've looked, I mean, you can't have. In other words, you're gonna have to get that win this week. You got to win this week.
You got to
There's
win 4 or 5 in a row at some point this season.
at some point you're gonna have to have a little winning streak. But if they go 0-4 after
You're
this
done.
week, there's no way. There's no way they can come back because now essentially you're gonna have to go 10-3 maybe out the last
You
part of
go
the
0-4, you're done. I
Yeah,
don't care which, you're done.
it's almost at the point, kind of what we talked about with Carolina and Jacksonville. You're gonna have to make a move somewhere. You're gonna have to blow it up somehow and make some kind of
If it
move.
was in the NBA, it'd be a little different because you got the play-in tournament and you just want to get to the 10th seed. But in football, no. 0-4 buries you. And so if you look at some of these games coming up next week, some teams that have to win, because I know Jacksonville. Can you see the schedule? Who do the Ravens have coming up? Because it's a big game. It's Buffalo, isn't it? Isn't the Ravens? Don't the Ravens have Buffalo next?
Yeah, they got Buffalo.
So don't you think for the Ravens, wouldn't you call that a must-win game?
100%. 100%. That's a must-win game. You've got to get to at least 2-2. If you fall to 1-3, then you are actually saying, okay, you lose to Buffalo, and then you've got Cincinnati after that. So this is the tough part. This is why that game is key, because you can go 2-2 into Cincinnati and, do what you got to do against, Cincinnati if you're the Ravens. But if you fall to 1-3,
So imagine the team with 0 wins. Then there we go.
Well, this is why I say Cincinnati's in a world of trouble right now.
They must win their next game or their season is over.
You know who they play the next game? It's against Carolina.
But still, the way they've been playing, I don't even know if that's a gimme.
Well, I'm gonna just name one player.
Andy didn't play that bad,
and that's who I'm naming. Andy has a little bit of revenge in him because
he played for the Bengals. I mean,
for the Bengals, and they're coming into Carolina. So
Carolina's gonna knock them off, man. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they kept. It's a low-scoring game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Carolina can keep that ball, keep the field. They can go a little dink passes and get a bunch of first downs. Keep it a low-scoring game, not one of those 38-33 games. I think the Bengals can be had again. They just don't look convincing to me this season.
It's crazy that we're getting a revenge game. Seeing the Bengals at 0-3 right now. So
Andy Dalton's out jogging.
He's getting his Mike Tyson work in right now. Locked On Spurs is in here. Jeff Garcia. I did mention, Jeff, we'll bring it up here in just a minute. We did talk about your Jesse James Leha episode a little while ago. We'll mention it again. He's wanting to know, Derek, is the Cowboy season done already, you feel?
No, the reason I'm going to say no is because of the division they're in. Those teams seem to knock each other off. And then when you got the Giants, that could be 2 wins for them. And the Commanders, I'm not going to say it's over yet because Dallas is one of those teams that can get on a roll and win 3 or 4 games in a row. So I'm not going to put them like I would the Cincinnati Bengals and some of these other teams. I'm going to say no, their season's not over yet, Jeff. Not yet, no.
Yeah, not yet. They're in a prime division. I mean, I think Washington leads that division right now. And
hey, Rudy, but I'll say this to Jeff. If they don't shore up that hole where these guys are running through, these running backs, and they giving up 273 yards, I just can't see that keep happening. I think at some point Dallas is going to get in better shape, and they're going to get the camaraderie. Maybe this last incident with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence might light a fire under them. I'm not going to give up on the Cowboys yet.
Yeah, I definitely can't give up on the Cowboys just yet. You can give up on the Bengals if they lose this weekend.
Bengals lose, man. They might as well start making plans for Cancun.
Oh, definitely, man. Again, you go check out the Locked On episode with Jeff Garcia that's out today. Again, we mentioned it earlier how boxer Jesse James Leha, local boxer, San Antonio, he started training the San Antonio Spurs, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu, a lot of the Spurs players, even current Spurs players, Wemby, these guys are training with Jesse James. great piece with him. You can hear the interview on Locked On Spurs, Locked On Network with Jeff Garcia. But I mentioned to Jeff earlier. I know you're paying attention here. I mentioned to Jeff earlier about the hardest hitting.
Rudy,
yo,
can I name one more guy? Because Jesse's been around doing this for quite a while now, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. I gave you one clue. I gave you one clue.
You brought David Robinson's name up, right?
I did.
So it's one more pick I'm going to go with. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go all the way back to a guy I played against in high school in Detroit, Michigan. Played in the NBA for 21 years.
Hold on, let me see.
Kevin Willis.
So your guess is Kevin Willis, right?
Yeah, that's because Kevin knocked his coach out in high school. I hate to put that out there, but that'd be my last pick is Kevin Willis.
Let me see. Is it Kevin Willis? No, it's not Kevin Willis, man. It's not Kevin Willis.
Wow.
So again, when I was told who the hardest hitting guy was, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Well, I know Kevin got those little, arms, so I figured. I'm just saying.
I was surprised. I was shocked when you said Vernon Maxwell. I'm like, well, I mean,
I figured Vern, because Vern like to Vern in mind is strapping it up, as they say with these. Yeah. So he would come to mind. Alvin would come to mind.
I was going to say Alvin.
Alvin, yeah, those kind of guys. But when you said a bigger, tall guy,
I gave you the clue.
I bet it's going to be a surprising answer for most people.
Yeah, I gave you a clue. It was a 7-footer. That's the only clue I could give you. But it was. If we ever talk to Alvin, I just got to know, him personally. And again, I love Alvin Robertson, but would it be wrong if I asked him, because I give him a whole lot of credit, dude. He took that punch from Shaq when he was playing with Detroit against Orlando. I mean, I almost want to just buy that man a steak dinner and just say, that I know Shaq didn't connect all the way, but just taking that punch was like, yeah, you're the man. You're the
Shaq,
man.
Shaq doesn't. If you remember when he swung at Brad Miller, he missed by a mile. He had he didn't even try to hit him. But Alvin's history, man. I've known Alvin since he got out of Arkansas.
Yeah,
and he's a guy that's not going to back down from anybody. And I asked him about that. We didn't talk about it a lot, but I said, man, damn. What do you think? That punch connects from Shaq, big as he is, but Alvin, with his mentality, he's expecting to connect before Shaq. So
I know. I remember. I think that's one of the punches that we see kind of frequently, especially when it comes to Shaq. It's that one and the Charles Barkley.
Yeah, when he threw the ball, hit Shaq in the head with the ball.
Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. But hey, you're probably gonna, like I said, you're kind of like me. You may hear the answer and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that guy. But sure enough, like I said, Matt Bonner was my pick. And he was like, actually, Matt Bonner was number 2 on that list. So I didn't even know Matt had it in him to throw that kind of punch. But apparently he was one of the hardest punchers there. So nonetheless, man, check out Locked On Spurs. Great interview with Jesse James Leha. And he says, do y'all want to know who Leha says was the fastest with the hands? If you want to drop it real quick, I got a couple of seconds here, Jeff. Drop it on here. Do you want to know who Leha says was the fastest with the hands?
That was Vassell.
You think it was Vassell?
Nah, I'm just messing. I don't know. I don't have a clue who it is. You got me all. I have no clue. And when you say the fastest hands, that's going to make me go to someone small again. Like
his name.
Like Tyus Jones or Trey, like Tyus Jones, someone like that. Don't we have Tyus Jones? Which one do we have here? We have Tyus, right? Trey is
Trey Jones. No, we have Trey.
We have Trey, and Tyus is the one just went to Phoenix.
There he goes. 3, 2,
Trey
1.
Jones.
Fastest hands. I'm going Speedy Claxton. Oh, you can't leave us on a cliffhanger, man. Come on. Derek's on the right path. So you're saying
small guard then. Yeah. Trey Jones. It was not Trey. Who else could it be? It's not Chris Paul, old butt. So then I'm gonna have to say Tony.
Yeah, Tony Parker is the fastest hands. Man, why couldn't it be Speedy? It's in his name, Speedy Claxton. I mean, he could have had the fastest hands there, but we can't give away the power puncher. That one I'm gonna tell Derek off.
Next time I ride by Tony's house on my way to my nephew's, I'm gonna stop at his gate and yell out, I hear you. what I'm gonna call? I have to think of a name for him, man. Mr. Speedy Hands. Tony, impressive.
Very, man. Tony Parker, the fastest hands with Jesse James Leha. But nonetheless, hey, check out Locked On Spurs. Great interview with Jesse James Leha. Jeff Garcia does a remarkable job on Locked On Spurs, so you don't want to miss this episode. I will be on tomorrow's episode. We got a really good discussion there. Something that we'll be talking about with Derek Irvin once the episode comes out. We always recap it with Derek. Pretty interesting topic that we talked about. It was regards to one player profile, but we'll get into that tomorrow with Derek Irvin here on Sweep the League. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Again, the show is going to be rebroadcast tonight at 9 o'clock. So if you missed it now, be sure to tune in tonight for the 9 o'clock rebroadcast of this show. It's going to be a new show tonight, obviously, because we've been running reruns on some days. But again, this show is going to be broadcast tonight for you guys to go take a look at it. We talked about the NIL mess that's going on in college football right now. Dropped some NFL trade talk. We had a little bit of a surprise trade that makes sense. Went into some power rankings for our cutoff guard moment. Talked about Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. So for Derek Gervin, this is Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again tomorrow, we'll see you later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a great day. Have a great evening.
Yeah, this for the family. Loyalty, respect, honor. You know what it is. STL music. Let's get it. We the ones, never folded on ourselves, no bluffing. Legacy we building, man, this ain't up for discussion. They wanted us to quit, but we dug in deep. Motivated to the fullest, dreams ain't meant for sleep. On the grind 24/7, no time for rest. We making moves, calculated like a master chess.
Hey sports fans, Jessica here with your STL Sports Minute. We've got an exciting NFC East showdown this Thursday night to kick off Week 4 of the NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys, sitting at 1-2, are heading on the road to face the New York Giants, also 1-2. Who do you think will come out on top? Let us know your thoughts in the comments on YouTube or hit us up on our social pages. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content and live shows. Happy Wednesday, and have a fantastic rest of your